So today we're going to edit Barber Classic. It was a few weeks ago now. I generally don't like leaving it this long between actually shooting and editing, mainly because I forget the story. So much happens. But I've been so busy recently that this is the first opportunity I've had to sit down and actually edit the pictures. So let's go in and see what we've got. So here we are in Lightroom. As you can see, pictures are imported. Let's go see what we've actually got. Into the develop module. Now this was an overcast day. In fact, it absolutely poured down with rain later in the afternoon. They had to call off the whole event. So things might be a little darker than what they need to be. Plus I was shooting at ISO 100. Maybe could have bumped that up a couple of stops. I got fairly nice blur on the wheels, but the whole thing just seems a little bit out of focus. From the wide shot though, it looks good. Let's see if we've got a slightly better one. 1/500th of a second, that should have been fine. I do kind of like this one. Let's edit this one. We're probably going to need to bump up the exposure a bit. There we go. Maybe there. Bring out the shadows. It's just, I don't know. We're going to leave this one. It's a little soft. That's a bit better. That one's in focus. So and we've got some nice blur on the wheels, which is what you want. Even these little cars must be hitting over 100. This is the main straight, or the start finish line at Barbers. I was taking these from the paddock actually. Put the shadows a little bit, bring down the highlights. We can still bump that up. Look at the histogram here. And we can still, there's still room to play in this. A little bit overexposed. Well, it wasn't originally overexposed. I had to bump it up nearly a full stop, as you can see here. Taking an F5 with the 100 to 400. That's not too bad. Do we want to crop it? Nah. We'll just export that as is. Basically get them going past. Here's the next one. Oh, is this Ferrari? Let's get them a little bit closer. Closer yet. Closer yet. Come on. Soft focusing, that's out. out. That one's out. 1/800th of a second. These should be sharp. These are all soft and slightly out of focus. I can't remember. I think I had this on zone, but my initial point must have either been off, or I actually at this point had the camera in the wrong tracking setting, because that is a whole sequence of shots. There must be 30 shots that are all out. That's not good. Now here we are with 1/400, and these are tack sharp. Get a little pass in action. What you want to see. Yeah, side by side. Bring up the shadows, can actually bring up the exposure. 3/4 of a stop nearly. Now this one we do want to crop a bit because of this barrier that's in the way. And there's too much leading. In fact, let's crop right the way in. Photograph sharp enough. 20 megapixel camera, so we do have the leeway to crop right in. Shadows, a little touch more, and there we go. Lotus, as you can see there, this one, not entirely sure what it is. It's not the Ferrari. But that looks half decent. Let's take that one. Okay, so that's that sequence of shots. Oh, was the Lotus breaking down? Yep. He's got his hand up. Lotus is out. Actually, that's a nice crop with his hand. He's basically signaling to the other drivers that, hey, something's not quite right here. Makes for a decent picture. Okay. Again, we can bump up exposure by about half a stop. It was an overcast day. White balance obviously wasn't set just right, but they're not terribly underexposed. I mean, we're only talking half a stop to one stop, which is perfectly fine. Vibrance and saturation, let's get some colour in here. Dehaze it a touch. And we're good to go. Let's export that one. I like that one with the hand up. Yep, so he obviously was out the race. There he is getting out the car. And there he is out. I don't think he's too happy. Anyway. Coming back, let's see what we've got here. A little black number. Slightly out of focus. Out. 1640. These should be sharp. It's going to be a whole other sequence. Why aren't these sharp? Just ever so slightly off. And there's one that's perfectly sharp. We've already got the 69 though, so let's keep moving. What we got here? Ferrari. Okay, now we're sharp. Still sharp, get it closer. That's getting a little bit fuzzy. That's fuzzy. So we start off sharp when it's far away, but the tracking in the camera makes me wonder what setting I had it on. Usually I have it on like case, is it case 2, case 4? Case 4. That's just not sharp. That is. Interesting. Same lens? No, this is different lens. This is a 70 to 200. Is this the end of the race? No. Coming down for a pass on the Ferrari. Passes the Ferrari, but unfortunately there's a box in the way. That doesn't help. And by the time he gets down to the corner, Ferrari's nowhere in sight. Okay. Let's skip past this race and get on to some cars. So Lotus. Nice Lotus. Let's take this. Bring up the shadows, bring up the exposure just a tad. Bring in the clarity, ISO 200. Probably could have done with something like an ISO 800 on this. But there we go. It turned out not too bad. It's a little bit yellow over here though. So let's bring in the blue just a touch. There we go. Export, export. Formula 1 Tyrrell. Number 34. From 2010. So a fairly recent Formula One car. Inside the cockpit, you can see it's well worn. Another Tyrrell, number 47. And inside the cockpit of number 47. This is the older one. Look at the gear shift on that. Sequential gear shift. Let's go back to the first one. Does this have Tiptronic? No, this is still sequential. Can't really be 2010. They didn't have sequential gear shifts like this. And just the styling of it, this notice here is off. This is like a 1980s, 70s, 80s Tyrrell. Not a 2010. By 2010 they had Tiptronic controls on the steering wheel. This one doesn't actually need that much. Bring up the shadows just a tad. Bring down the highlights. There we go. That looks good. Didn't need much at all. Export, export. What we got here? Oh, classic Lotus. I like that shot. That one not so much. Again, still got a sequential gear, but yeah, this is the classic 1991 era. Okay, add a little bit of dehaze for the background mainly. And that works. Export. Here it is from the back. Look at the back of that car. And here's the second Lotus. These are just gorgeous, beautiful old Formula One cars. Right. Bring up the shadows, bring down the highlights and the whites a tad. Up the contrast and the clarity. Not going to get much of a colour shift since it's black, basically. Dehaze it a tad, and there we go. Nice shot. I like the angle on this shot here. I like this shot better because you can see this car up on the jacks. something's happening in the picture. It's not just a picture of a car. So let's go with this one. Undercover, so there's going to be a lot of shadow. The sky is what was blown out. So bring down the highlights, increase contrast, get a little bit of colour in here. Now the dehaze amount should bring the sky really in, and as you can see, it does. That works. Export, export. Now, probably my favourite car of the whole event wasn't actually a car, it was a go-kart. Back to the live action. This is the Porsche race. Porsche GT4s. We're back in the paddock. Well, we're still in the paddock. We never actually left the paddock area at this point. Nice, crisp, sharp. This is the 70-200 lens. Canon 70-200 Mark II L lens is notorious for being just sharp, edge to edge sharp. Let's see if we can get a little bit of action. Here we go. That's a not bad shot. Car going away in the foreground, overtaking going on at the corner. This is turn 5 of Barber Motorsports. This is turn 5 is where most overtaking, it's way too much. There we go. Turn 5 is where most overtaking happens. You're coming off a big straight, you've got a braking area and basically a 180-degree corner. The overtaking happens in the braking area, people try and outbrake each other. It's actually a fairly notorious track for being hard to overtake on. There you go, that one works. Oops, wrong one. File export. Coming down the start finish straight. Number 90. That one was sharp. Let's take a look at this. And we're still on the 70-200. So these should be sharp. There we go. This one looks quite good. We just need to crop it a bit. Okay, bring in the shadows so you can actually see the driver inside the car. There we go, you can now see him quite clearly. A little bit of colour to it. Not too much there. And there we go, nice picture. What's this? Another Porsche. Number 38. Right at the start-finish line. I can remember trying to get the shot of the cars crossing the line with the checkered flag waving, basically the end of the race. Obviously I was a lap too soon. Where are we on this one? Whoa! What happened here? Oh, I'm getting blocked by somebody or something. Yep. Number 51, not exactly very nice. Oh, they're all nice Porsches, but... What's the Marshal doing? Was this the one lap to go? I'm looking for... Here we go, 3 cars running down the straight. Oh, it's a corner beam. That's what it is, it's a metal post. And of course, when the beam's not in the way, the cars are passed. But let's see if we can get one with the flag. There's a nice American car. So here comes number 18. Passes. Number 24. Maybe I didn't actually get one in this race. Here we go, 2 cars coming down. Let's develop one of these. This one. Shadows, contrast, bring up the clarity. Actually, oh, way too much, way too much. About a quarter of a stop. Some color into it. Highlight, white balance, and then dehaze. There we go. Now, there were lots of... It was a track day, there's lots of on-track action happening. I want to skip past these ones and get to... There was a car show going on as well. Is it still the Porsche race? It's still the Porsche race. See, now we're on the 1:400 lens and it's sharp. Going to keep up the tracking. This 1:400, no, this one's 70:2. So we switched lenses at some point. Come on. So this is the end of the Porsche race. So yeah, I didn't get the flag. But this is a quite good picture. You can see the things happening in the pit lane. There's one next to it. Very much the same picture. So let's take this one. Lights down just a tad, bring up the, there we go, to make it clear. That's actually quite a nice picture. What do we have here? We have a Lotus. Lotus Esprit. Okay. Lotus. Barber Motorsports, so that we know where we are. Here's that coming down straight, turn 5. Basically it's a 180-degree corner, and this is where most of the overtaking happens. But let's get on to some of the static cars, static shows. Really old Air Force truck, along with an army truck right next to it. I prefer the Air Force truck. Bring up the shadows, don't need to bring them up a lot. This one is just ever so slightly over. Exposed 72, no, this is the 24-70 lens. A little bit of colour coming in here. Bring it up just a tad, there we go. And then dehaze it to try and bring something into the sky behind. Down here in Alabama, where it's usually very bright, even on cloudy days, it's still a bright background. That's a Ferrari. That is not a Lotus. 308 GTS. There we go. Yeah, the dehaze tool works wonders. So at this point we're walking down the static car show that they've got. A nice, that one's a bit better, Ford Mustang GT350. We'll just do a few of these. As you can see, there are an absolute ton of photographs I took this weekend. 1560 of them. 1568 photographs. I'm not going to go through each and every one of them here on this video. Just show you a few of the highlights, show you how to actually edit them to get the best out of them. This one needs a little bit more on the shadow side. There we go. You see what happened with the bonnet and everything when you bring up the shadows. Also, when you bring up the shadows, you've got to watch your whites and your highlights. You can sometimes blow these out. I think I can bring in the clarity quite a bit more. There we go. And that looks good like that. Let's export it. Ford Mustang Mach 1. Better angle. When you're shooting cars, don't always shoot them just standing up straight like this. Now this one, I wanted to get the engine in it. Going to a lower angle, however, gives the car just such a better look. So this is the one that we're going to take, and this is the one that we're going to edit. We can bring up the shadows to get the engine, but as you saw here, the highlights in the background also increased, which is why we need to decrease the highlights and the whites. It's also why the dehaze tool is such a great tool that Adobe introduced into Lightroom. Look at the sky on the background and look here. Dehaze. We've brought in the sky again. You can actually see detail rather than it just being basically blown out mush. There's a little Lotus Exige, I think it is. Elise. Okay. This one I like. It's not a very good Mustang. I loved the navy paint scheme on it. This is a little MG, I think it is. No, Triumph. Triumph TR5. I'm trying to skip through quite a lot of these images and trying to get to some of the more interesting cars, because I don't want to subject you to 1,500 pictures worth. So here's a nice little Lotus. Do we have a front shot of this? Yes, we do. Do we have a front shot of this without somebody in the background? No, we don't. But this is a nice Lotus. Let's take this one. As you can see, the highlights were blown out at the top. This is the 24-70 lens. Bring up the shadows so we can get some of this grill work. In doing so, as always, you need to watch your highlights and your whites. We can bring in quite a bit of clarity on that one and pump up the colours a bit and dehaze that bring in the sky. Look at the sky and the clouds. This is what I meant by it started downpouring. Wasn't that much longer after this, maybe about another hour, and they had to shut down the whole event. But that looks good, so let's take that one. There was an absolute ton of lotuses at this event. Nice car, not a nice angle. There's a nice one. Let's grab this. Colours are a little bit drab, but let's see what we can do with this one. So we've pumped up the shadows, taken the highlights down. Let's get some contrast and clarity in there. We can actually pump up the ISO a touch. There we go. Not a lot you can do with the vibrance on this, since it's basically grey. Dehaze it a bit, and that actually came out okay. Let's export. Gotta get an angle. We've got at least 3 racing lotuses in a line. That's not a lotus, that's a track car. Okay, 3 racing track cars. So we've got it at 2.8 and we've got it at 6.3. Let's get the 2.8 so that at least we're blurring part of the background. And as you can see, dark clouds coming in fast. Okay, it's a little on the dark side, but we can adjust that later. Here we go. Bring in the clarity. We've got lens profile enabled. Bring up the shadows. Let's see if we can look at the grill. We can now see the grill. I actually didn't need, after bringing up the shadows, we really didn't need to bring up the exposure all that much on it, even although it was dark to start with. Bring that in a little. Now that looks okay, it's just missing something. It looks more of a snapshot than a good shot. But I do like this Pirelli Harris 86 car. So let's see if we can adjust it a bit more to get it just that little bit tighter. Need more shadow. That works. Export, export. Now look at this. This is an old Team Lotus. I think this is an actual Formula 1 car from the, I don't know, the 60s? 50s? cracker of a car. Okay, what angles did we get on this? Give me an angle, give me an angle. I think this one works. What do we have beside it? Nope, this one's even better. Get rid of the reflections off of it, bring the whites down a tad. Need to bring the shadows, oh, quite a lot up. Bring in the clarity. It's a gorgeous car. Bit of colour, and we could probably, let's see if we bring up, it's too much, just a hair. Okay, export. Let's see if we can get another couple of cars before we call this video quits. That's just the number 47. I can remember there being this Lotus Turbo Spree, nice car. But there's another cracker of an old car. Here we go. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. Back of it, no. Front of it, yes. And then he was driving away, so it's got to be one of these. Sideshow, it's got to be this one, I think. What does this one do? Gives a little bit and gets rid of this one. So we'll do this one, and then next up will be a Ferrari. I know there was a couple of Ferraris there. And then we'll call this video quits at that point. I've still got 1,000 pictures to go through. I'm not going to make you sit through all of them. Bring up the shadow so that we can get under the car here. Definitely bring in the color. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous car. Get that clarity in the clouds. You can actually pump up the overall clarity quite a bit, and then dehaze it, get even more depth to the clouds, and I think just a hair, gorgeous. As always, oh, DeLorean, I completely forgot there was a DeLorean there. Not the best example of a DeLorean, but it's just such an iconic car. Let's quickly do this one. As you can see, this one is a slight angle, so let's straighten it up just a tad. There we go. Lots of shadows going on down here. So we bring up the shadows. Bring down the highlights because we brought up the shadows. This is just overall dark. One stop, maybe just under a stop. And dehaze that. Very good. This is another beautiful car. It's not the one that we'll end up on, but just look at the lines on this car. Gorgeous. Okay, so here we have a Ferrari Testarossa. Let's get a front view of that. There we go. We'll do this one and end it on this. Look at the red histogram. Basically because most of the picture is a red car. Okay, let's bring up the shadows. Down with the highlights, down with the lights. You got to watch punching the colours too much on this. Give it some contrast. There we go. We're getting rid of the hazes and bringing out the actual car. Dehaze it, and there we go. Gorgeous. File, export, export. Now I'll continue editing these pictures, and as always I'll publish them on my Facebook site, Hackersoft Productions LLC. Go take a look at the finished edited pictures there. I hope you enjoyed this, and as always I hope you learned something from it.